All right, guys, thanks for joining me up here at La Cueva del Fishful here lakeside. I'm going to show you another one of my favorite fish recipes, and this one's really easy, really quick. You can make it at home, make it in the campground, and it's super rich and delicious. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a seafood Alfredo. We're going to make a fish Alfredo pasta dish. We're going to do it real quick. We're going to do it outside on the Camp Chef stove right here. So we're going to get a little bit of bell pepper and a little bit of onion. Got this real red bell as well, a little bit better color. We'll take some of that as well. Put some olive oil in there and put that, and then we're gonna need some onions as well. So I've got a bunch of onions in here, and so the first thing we'll do is we'll put these bells in here. We'll let those get started, and we'll also put some onion in there. And you can see that Camp Chef got hot real fast, so we don't need it going quite that hot. We'll turn that down. You don't want to burn these guys. We're just sweating them, get a little bit of color in them, not anything too crazy with it yet. A little bit of salt and pepper on the base layer, as always. But this is a bulk Alfredo sauce. You can buy it in a jar if you want to do that. You can make your own. So it's just a multiple cheese, Asiago, Gruyere cheese, Alfredo sauce with bechamel. It's really delicious. So I recommend do that ahead of time. Make a big batch of it if you want. We'll take this tomato and cut it down. Anytime I'm cooking outside, I really like to have my mise en place, my prepared items done ahead of time. So what I generally like to do is keep a cooler, depending on how many ingredients, the small little soft cooler like this Trooper right here, or one of the great big Venture coolers, depending on how many ingredients I have and how much of it I'm making. In this case, I'm just making a quick portion for 2, so I don't have a ton of ingredients, but by having everything in the cooler, even though yes, I'm cooking at my house, I can go in the kitchen, load the cooler, bring it out here, all my ingredients are safe. I'm not going to worry about foodborne illness, things like that. And then it's also convenient. When I'm all done, I can carry everything back in the house and done as well. So having the cooler, whether you're cooking at home or you're tailgating or in camp, makes things a lot easier. Okay, as you can see, those guys have cooked down quite a bit at this point. I'm going to add a pretty healthy dose of finely minced garlic to that. And now that's looking pretty good, guys. We'll let that cook down for another minute or 2. Real flex fillet knife, we're going to cut this chunk of walleye down. I'm just using one side of one walleye. So we're gonna cut some of this bacon down as well. It's pre-cooked, par-cooked bacon. I didn't cook it all the way through. And we're gonna put a little bit of seafood stock. And no, I did not make this seafood stock. This is store-bought seafood stock, but I'm gonna add a little bit to it and let that cook down and reduce. Let it cook down, and also a splash of white wine I think is a good call in there as well, for a little acidity. And some lemon juice. All right, now that we got that cooking along like that, that's reduced down a little bit, we're gonna add this chopped up bacon that I put in here, and then we're also gonna go ahead and put the fish in there. And we're gonna start off with a little bit of salt and some fresh cracked black pepper, of course. We'll let that cook for another minute. And I think we're about to the point where I can add the tomatoes now, actually. Another key thing that you can do is boil your pasta ahead of time, and I did that as well. Okay, that's some of the reserved pasta water. So when I boiled the penne pasta last night, I reserved some of the water. I always keep some of this around. It's salted as well, so I add a little bit of that. All right, that's looking pretty good, guys. Most of the liquid's cooked out of it. We've got it cooked down about to where I want it. And then we're gonna start adding this until it looks about right. I'm gonna add a little bit of Camp Chef all-purpose seasoning. We'll give it some, and then I'm also gonna add some par-cooked or blanched broccoli florets that I made. And okay, guys, you can see it's kicking down, it's getting thick. We're gonna let it thicken up for a couple more minutes here. And while it's doing that, I'm gonna add the last couple of ingredients. I took a bunch of crayfish shells and I cooked them down, and I made basically a demi-glace from crayfish and wine and a few other things. And we're gonna put just a little bit of that stuff. Is potent, and it's gonna make a very strong seafood flavor to the dish. These are little bits of the heads and the tails of those same crayfish. We're gonna add a little bit of those in there as well. First of all, we're gonna add a little bit of fresh grated parm, and then we're gonna add a few of these noodles, and we don't need a lot. I mean, we'll let that cook just long enough for the pasta to come up to full temperature. All right, guys, when you look at it now, I know the fish is flaking. Watch this piece of fish right here. If I just barely hit it, it comes apart. I know the fish is done. I know the pasta's come up to temperature. We are turning that off. That is done. So now we're gonna dish some of this out right here. We'll sprinkle some of these on top for yum, little bacon crumbs on top. And then a couple of tomatoes on the top as well. A little bit of flat leaf Italian parsley. Tiny little bit of lemon juice, just a tiny bit, a couple. And this is a lemon infused sea salt. And so we're gonna take a tiny little bit of this stuff and sprinkle it over the top. A little bit of parm right over the top, just to make sure. What do you think? Looks pretty good, right? What do you think? Should we give it a try? I think we should. Get some crunch from the bacon. Obviously it's cheesy from the Alfredo and the parm and everything I put in there. A little acidity to it. Absolutely delicious, guys. If you want the recipe, you'll be able to get that at fishfulthinker.com. We'll also publish it on our YouTube channel at Fishful Thinker. And obviously you can join the conversation on social media at Fishful Thinker across all platforms as well. But most importantly, we hope you'll tune in, and we'll see you next week.